Orange County depends on WDXE News.
Here we go, bud.
Since 1951. WDXE.
Hey, it's time for the Friends and Neighbors Hour on this Wednesday once again. And Keith Durham's in the house.
I'm here today.
You are here today. You are here today. Hair today, goon tomorrow.
That's right.
Do you remember that story?
No.
Little Bunny Foo Foo?
No.
You've never heard that story?
No.
I'll have to tell it to you.
Is it a Marx Brothers story or something?
Well, I don't know where it came from. It's like a children's thing. Little Bunny Foo Foo hopping through the forest, picking up the field mice and bopping them on the head.
No, I've never heard that.
Oh. Well, anyway, maybe I'm the only one.
That was a generational thing, Jeff. You're one generation in front of me.
I guess. Anyway.
So I'm reading the big news today about the ceasefire.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm glad about it. I'm actually glad about it.
Yeah, I am too. I don't know the details of it. I'd like to see what they all agreed to.
Yeah, I keep thinking, you hear all these comments and people commenting back and forth on, especially on talk radio and social media, all that stuff. As I run around town and talk to people, nobody's talking about it much at all.
No, you're right.
But on the air and on the radios and on the social medias, it's all over the news, of course, it's all over the place.
Unknown caller.
Telephone. Well, it's very American to feel safe about those things.
Yeah.
We don't. Well, not that we don't have to worry about it, but we feel safe walking down the street and not have to worry about a IED going off or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's countries in the world that that people live in that they do worry about that.
Well, we've had a taste of that kind of stuff here and there.
We have.
In our country.
Yeah.
And it always just is alarming.
Yeah, and we nip it in the bud.
We try.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. United States is trying to do too. For 47 years that Iran has been just terrorizing the world.
Yeah.
And why live in fear like that if you can do something about it?
Well, every president and every presidential candidate for decades have said. I mean, I just watched some clips. I watched Biden, Obama, and even Hillary while she was campaigning, talking about we cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. And they all, every one of them said we'll do whatever we have to do.
Yeah,
every one of them said we'll do it, and even beyond that. So
yeah, I can remember back in the day. That's what Ollie North was involved in a little bit. They were selling arms. They're trying to do a hostage deal over there and sell arms and get those hostages out. I don't know if those things were made of Play-Doh or what, but they were selling them garbage. And then but the Congress didn't want to be in the conflict down in Middle America here with the Sandinistas and stuff like that. And so they were funding that with the sale of these arms. So it's been going on for a long time.
Well, one of our regulars is going to chime in quick today. Hey, you're on with us.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, listen, I skimmed the other papers, and it's not like they're right and we're wrong, but they cover issues we don't. One thing that came up on AI today said there were between 800 and over 1,000 vessels. And they're not just there at the strait, but evidently they're stranded other places because they can't move the way they need to go. And also, there's also been the headlines in some other papers too saying that Iran is not doing a toll fee for some people like China or some countries, but they may be charging up to $2 million per vessel. And I got to figuring. But anyway, I'm just going to throw that out. Sometimes, there's things like that going on with all the other things that makes other things seem a little bit clearer. But another issue they have is some of these vessels do not know who to deal with yet and how to even deal with it. So it's not going to be something that's going to be changed just in a few days.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I think the United States is going to escort some people through too, some ships through and all that kind of stuff until everything gets settled down.
Well, that was one of the conditions of the ceasefire is that nothing happens to that strait.
Yeah, and then traffic can keep flowing.
And traffic can keep flowing. So.
Yeah, she's right. Some of those ships, let's say, just for instance, if one of those ships was coming through the strait and heading to Egypt to offload, well, there may be a ship in Egypt waiting to do a transatlantic shipments, but they're waiting on cargo coming through the Strait of Hormuz. That could very easily be the case there.
Yeah.
So, it sort of throws a kink in everything. But when you think $2 million might sound like a bunch of money, but have you seen those cargo ships? They're unbelievable. We went out of the Fort Lauderdale last time we were took a cruise, but we've been out of Miami also, and you see it more in Miami than Fort Lauderdale. But those container ships, they hold a lot of containers.
They're big.
Oh, they're unbelievable. Not that, and I guess they spread that cost across everything that gets loaded on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, probably when it comes to the end of the day, it's not a lot per container. But
I haven't been up close and personal with those, but I have seen the pictures and
oh, it's unbelievable.
And those docks where they handle all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
is just incredible.
That's one of my favorite parts of the cruise is to get there early and get up on the top deck and watch those container ships being loaded.
Yeah.
Or unloaded.
Loaded or unloaded, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a steady stream of diesel trucks coming through. It's unbelievable. So.
All right. Well, it's 8:15, and Keith Durham's in the house. We're doing we're doing what we do. We're doing the Friends and Neighbors Hour, and we'll open up the phones, of course, if you want to talk with us. We're just going to shoot the breeze here for a little while and visit.
Yeah.
You got a big day?
I do have a big day. I'm in the process of redesigning a store that we're fixing to start building, and so in my mind, I'll just tell you how it's going to go in my mind. The interior of the store is going to change, but the exterior doesn't change. And so what I'm hoping is to get permitted to start the exterior work, and while the architect works on the interior. And so by the time we get around to putting the slab down, we'll have everything that we need in place. And so that's what I hope to do. And then I got a huge line of work this week. I've got to be in Lexington tomorrow at 9 a.m. So I won't be here in the morning.
Oh, you won't be here in the morning?
No, because I've got to be in Lexington at 9. So that's.
Do we have a backup plan?
I maybe. I'll see if somebody can sit in.
You probably need to do one.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought about that, Jeff. I'm one day at a time here.
Yeah, I understand.
So anyway.
Well, we can always wing it.
Yeah. Well, the store that we want to build in Columbia is back on, and so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going over to meet with the civil engineer there and our builder for that site. And so.
Is this a totally new store or the remodel?
It's going to be a tear down of one and rebuild.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. And that's tough to do. That's one of our top performing stores, that one there in North Columbia.
Right.
And right next to the.
Right.
GM.
That store was up there long before a lot of other things were there.
It was. Jonathan and them, they bought that store back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and built a store there in 92 maybe, I think.
Yeah, and there's just been an explosion since then, that whole area.
Yeah, the world has grown around us, and so, we have a need to grow. And Jonathan was so smart, he bought 3.88 acres up there, so he owns the whole block.
Yeah.
So we don't have to try to acquire property to expand or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's just the rules of engagement are, it's tough to expand up there.
Yeah.
And it's really tough to do business up there. So it's
they've got a lot of code stuff up there.
They do. They do. It's unbelievable.
And we have code. I don't know if you need to open up the code worm.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
But they can be adjusted or changed, but not very easily.
No, and that's why, we got in this conversation a little bit last week.
Excuse me.
Friends and neighbors. That's why I went to the state capitol, because state law sort of backs that, I guess adds a little bit more backbone to cities that want to enforce codes like that. But I think it needs to be left up to the cities. The state shouldn't have a hand in that. If a city wants to make a variance, they should be allowed to make a variance without having to worry about violating state code.
Yeah, you remember years ago when cities were kind of wanted to expand their city limits.
Yeah.
And they were doing what was called
strip annexing.
Strip annexing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then so the state got involved. I guess some lawmakers got involved to slow that down.
They did, and they put a farmer clause in there. So basically, if you've got a farmer in the way, he can veto the whole thing, and well, for lack of better terms, but also there has to be the request for annexation now. So the city can't just go annex you. Like if a developer is building a subdivision, he can come before the city and request annexation.
Yeah.
And which is good for the developer, because when you get annexed into the corporate limits of Lawrenceburg, for instance, you get fire protection and police protection and sanitary sewer and
Right.
garbage pickup, all those kinds of things that come along with it. So if you're building a subdivision, you want to be inside the city limits because it just adds those things.
It has all the public utilities, all the public services, all that stuff that.
That's right. Police protection, fire protection is two big things.
Yeah. Well, it's always an issue, me selling property and stuff outside of the city or away from the sewer, for instance.
Yeah.
The septic issue is always an issue. Now, we don't have much problem with our septic systems here, but there are other areas of the country that's a major concern always.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people coming from elsewhere in the country are always overly concerned, to me, with the septic systems.
Well, especially if you live in southern Alabama or Mississippi, the groundwater is so close to the top of the ground there, you can't do those kind of things.
But it feels odd to me because most of our septic systems are just fine. We don't have any issues with
That's right. Unless they can't perk at all because of clay in the ground.
Yeah, just there's certain areas that won't perk or whatever. But for the most part, if you see neighboring houses around, you're not going to have an issue.
That's right.
They've already got septic systems in or whatever. So, but it's become more and more of an issue. We have to verify. We have to get the state records a lot of times when we're selling a piece of property and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of legwork.
And then some people actually request an actual septic inspection or clean out, which I don't never recommend. I think if they're working fine, leave them alone.
Yeah,
don't mess with them. But people from other areas of the country want to clean them out and start all over and all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Well, I guess when you're moving into a house and it's new to you, you want to start all new.
Some do.
Yeah.
And some understand. Leave it alone.
So your septic tank is supposed to be full. That's how it functions. It functions on the fullness of it, not the emptiness of it.
Right. I understand.
Now you're supposed to have what is it called, a sludge stick or whatever that you stick down in there. And
I don't even do that. Just leave it alone. As long as it ain't causing a problem, we don't want it.
Yeah. Well, people get there and the septic tank's up to the top. Well, that's not all bad, as long as the sludge ain't all the way to the top. So.
What a nice subject for the morning.
Yeah, we'll move on.
But anyway.
Not that I'm a septic tank.
I'm not an expert by any stretch. I just know that if they're functioning fine, I just generally don't mess with them.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's always the first thing a realtor says. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no,
you
not
think?
A problem. Not a problem.
Oh, it's not a problem.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. Well, we're a lot more cautious than we used to be about all of that. There's home inspections and all that, and we always recommend everybody do those things just to cover the bases. That's the way it's done. It's the way it's done. Hey, the phone lines are open if you want to talk to Keith. Keith is the local expert on all things political.
Oh, no.
And anything that moves in the city or the county, Keith knows all about it.
I may not know all about it, but I've sure got an opinion that I can share.
Yep. So what's new on the horizon out there in our great communities?
Well, we had David in here last week, and he talked about that a little bit. I think what's new is, especially for Lawrence County, is our proximity to everything that's growing up around us.
That's true.
And I think there has to be a conscious caution about the way we grow, if that makes sense. Otherwise you get overran. There's developers, in Tennessee, when you talk about an hour's commute, you're talking about 60 miles, whereas in like Los Angeles, if you talk about an hour's commute, you're probably talking about 4 miles.
Yeah, 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah. So the commute time is different for us. So what that means is that, like Lawrenceburg has been a bedroom community for different factories in different counties.
Sure.
For years.
Yeah.
And so those big developers know that. And then you go to Murray County where it's a little bit tougher to build. They want to come down here because number one, the codes aren't as stringent, but a 30-minute commute is nothing.
Yeah.
So
Well, we definitely have the attention of a lot of developer builder type people.
Yeah.
I'm getting calls. I'm getting calls from those folks that are
Right.
developer type folks that are looking for a property. And of course, again, those concerns are the utilities.
Right.
You still have to have that, and it's fascinating, really.
I got a call.
To watch, I have to watch what's going on. You said you mowed.
Yeah, I'm old. And I need
Did
to
you
wear
do
a
your
mask.
first mowing?
No, it's about my third mowing.
It's about your third. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And somebody rolled our yard this past weekend. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you ever lost it? I sort of lost it Saturday, and I never lose it.
Well,
But-
what happened?
Well, the last 2 times our yard got rode, I had to clean it up.
Okay.
And it's not fun to clean up, toilet paper out of your yard. Now the side benefit of that is they left about 7 full rolls, and
Okay. So
that's
now
sort of-
it's at least you got a little pay for it.
yeah, I got it and believe it or not, I got it in my bathroom closet. So, and it's good stuff. So I kept it, and they used good toilet paper. So whoever done it used name brand toilet paper. I appreciate that.
So you don't know who did it.
No, so here's the deal. We have a house full of boys every weekend.
Yeah.
I got a 14-year-old, and his buddies come over, and basically they're not unsupervised, but at our house you don't have to. Well, I guess it's a point of I don't know what you would call it, but obviously they're not drinking, they're not watching movies they shouldn't be watching.
Yeah, yeah.
Things like that. I'm not going to allow that in my house. But we got a big yard, and they do run around, and they've got these little water guns that they shoot each other with and stuff like that. So, but they rip through the house. And my wife, when she goes to sleep, a tornado could come through, and she would never know it. And that's basically what's happening upstairs. I'm downstairs, and all this stuff's going on upstairs, and they're just tearing the house apart, sounds like. And so that finally settled down about 4 o'clock, and I got like 2 hours of sleep. And I woke up and looked outside, and the yard was rolled. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I didn't need this today. So I made them get up. I said, every one of you guys get up and go out there. If you guys are going to let this, if you're going to bring it on, you're going to clean it up. I cleaned it up the last 2 times. So,
Oh boy.
anyway.
So you let them have it.
Yeah, I let them have it. Then they went and got some garbage bags and was cleaning it up. And so I thought, well, I'll go get them some donuts. Apologize for yelling at them.
No way.
And so I went and got them some donuts, come out there.
You're too soft.
Hey, and I tell you, this tells you how good a neighbors we got. Keith Methin's out there picking up toilet paper.
Yeah.
What a great neighbor.
Yeah, you're too soft.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk to a friend. Hey, good morning. You're on with us.
Yes, this is Daphne calling in this morning.
Good.
I love you, Miss Daphne.
Okay, I think that we'll speak just a minute about beautification.
Yeah.
And I know everyone in the community has noticed the dogwood trees and how absolutely exquisite they've been this year.
Yes.
And I thought I'd offer up a little history on that.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all recall or not, but the Lions Club of Lawrenceburg did a project, and they wanted to enhance and grow the dogwood. And now, y'all, this has been many, many years ago. And they sold, I think, if I recall, 300 in the very first setting.
Oh, wow.
Then they called us and asked us at the chamber, said, would you all participate in this project? And we said, certainly we would. And said, would you be the outlet? You have to have some place for that and sort of keep up with the thing and sell the dogwoods for us. We said, we would be glad to do that. And I think in the second group, it was another 300. So we kept this project going for probably 2 or 3 years. And if I'm not mistaken, there was 1,300 sold.
Wow.
And so we designated certain areas. And if you'll recall, up and down the strip, all up and down the strip, starting at, I believe Chuck Brewer's, you remember when Chuck Brewer was
Yeah.
there?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And went all the way, and even in Loretta. And I can't give the account in Loretta, but I can all up and down. I mean, it was in the community. And it just pleases me every year when I see them. And then I always think we just had Easter, and I always think about that's God's presentation of nature, the dogwood tree, and it supposedly it commemorates the death and the burial and the resurrection of Jesus.
Right.
And so yesterday I was how beautiful the dogwoods are.
Oh.
And that was on my mind this morning, so I wanted to impart that. And I always think Lawrence County is a beautiful place anyway.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that when they make their showing each year, I'm always pleased about that. And there's a lot of people involved in that. On Parks, I believe it was, or Caperton.
Yeah.
You know, Brother Bolton put that presentation up.
Yeah.
And most of them, I think, are still living.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of folks. Keith Vaughn would go and set the dogwoods out in the different places when they'd sell them and when we'd sell them. And so anyway, I just wanted to bring that in this morning and just don't forget I guess that beauty of Lawrence County today.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Dear heart, y'all have a good day, and boys, y'all just keep hanging in there.
All right.
We will.
Thank you.
And y'all are doing a good job. So
Oh,
just keep hanging in there, and we'll be in touch now.
Thank you, Miss Daphne.
Thank
That's a pretty awesome story.
It is, and Clint Alley probably needs to get a hold of that and go talk to Daphne about that.
That's a pretty awesome story. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. And if you do go down Parks in Caperton, yeah, they've got that middle aisle that's just full of dogwoods. And I bet they have the ones at the Lawrenceburg utility systems are the same way. They've got some great big dogwoods out in front.
You know, that kind of reminded me of years ago down in St. Joe, there was supposed to be one of the largest dogwood trees in the country down there.
Really?
It's not there anymore. I think it finally died.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I remember it.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere down in St. Joe,
Yeah.
there was a huge dogwood tree. It's one of the biggest in the country, they said.
Well, you know, when dogwood tree decides to die, it dies. You know, it just. We had one. Amy and I had one in our yard, the first house we moved to, and in just 1 year, it just died.
Yeah.
And it's done. I mean, we tried to take care of it, you know. We didn't hit it with a weed eater or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not easy to get to live, I don't think.
No, they're a pretty tough tree to grow.
Yeah, so.
But they're so pretty though.
They are.
And and
I like to see them scattered in the woods in the wild.
yeah, I do too.
You know, they're never really big, usually.
But ain't that neat that the Chamber of Commerce was a different animal when Daphne was there.
Yeah, it was.
And to think about the things that they done, that was just awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, now it's more of a business.
They were deeply involved with the community groups, the community clubs.
Yeah.
Miss Daphne was always an honorary member back when I was in the Kiwanis Club. I was in the Kiwanis Club for years.
Oh, yeah.
Was honored to be president one year. And Miss Daphne, even though we didn't have female members then, Miss Daphne was considered a member.
Yeah.
You know, she
Exactly.
was, you know, they later changed it and did have women, but I think I was the last president of the all men group.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think after my
He-Man Woman Haters group.
yeah, I was the last president when it was an all men's deal,
Okay.
and then the following year I think they began to have women in the club.
Yeah. Well, I was a.
Rotary did the same thing. You know, Rotary Club was an all men's too at one time.
I didn't know that. As far as I've known, it's always been.
Really? I thought it was just all men. I may be wrong.
No, I haven't. I don't know about it.
I may be wrong about that. I may be wrong about that. So.
No, you're probably right. But get back to Daphne just for a few minutes. It took people like her to shape who we are today.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm not trying to do this to pump her up, but I don't know. I've been in many meetings when I first became mayor with Daphne, and just to see how. You think, well, somebody's running this place. Well, it was her, and they done a great job. And it's just if she was always prepared for whatever she was going to talk about. She was always prepared, and if she wasn't,
you wouldn't know it.
You wouldn't know it. Exactly right.
That's right.
So anyway, my hat's off to her, and she had a good crew down there too, and. They just did outstanding things for her.
Yeah, and I liked the old chamber building that we had up there.
Whatever happened to that?
Isn't that is that not what they did? Put down south of town down there? Is that the same? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. And they got rid of the log cabin over by the wishy-washy. What happened to that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I guess they just got tired of having a nice log cabin there and got rid of it.
Who did it belong to?
The city of Lawrenceburg.
Well, the one that's down south of town, south of the square, they put up a little log cabin down there, kind of a
David Crockett cabin? No, that's been there for years.
I know, but where did it come from? I mean, it's been there for years.
I know
but-
it, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know what happened to the chamber log cabin.
Somebody bought it.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so. Somebody bought it and rebuilt it somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the stipulations that we had to be.
Well, you know, I think it was Miss Daphne's dad who did that. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
mean-
He was. Yeah, there she is. You're going to clarify this for us, aren't you?
I certainly had no intention. I was just going to brag on dogwoods this morning, but we do need a little clarification on that. You know, when the chamber was erected, they went down. Dad went down to the south end of the county.
Yep.
And bought the logs, and so we leased from the city of Lawrenceburg Power. We had a 100-year lease there. And so, and of course, that 100 years had not come about. But anyway, so Dad came, and he was the only person in the country that could put up logs at that time. Nobody could do that hardly, and especially when you tore it down, and you know, some people have to mark them. Well, he could reconstruct, see, without having to mark the log.
That's right.
So we did, and the fire department, y'all, the police department, every citizen, the chamber membership, and of course there's a lot of really funny stories about building that building. We had some attorneys. One fell off the roof and fell through and broke the floor joist. And people worked on that did
Didn't
not
hurt the attorney then.
have credentials, should not have. But anyway, went to Milky Way and got the fireplace. And y'all remember that beautiful fireplace
Oh, yeah.
in that building.
Yes.
So okay, it was to stay there and all of that. Well, as things change and as ideas change, then that piece was that lease was whatever it is you do with them,
Terminated,
revoked
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And then they sold that. And you know, of course, I have an opinion, and I've always been very conscientious about what I say about that.
Sure.
And I don't want to ever feel like that I would in any way impede progress. But from my standpoint, that building should have never, ever left from there. It should have been kept as a tourist center or as anything, but had been torn down and moved. So it's my understanding that it was sold, and that somebody came and bought the cabin and moved it to Etheridge and reconstructed. But I do not know where. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was your dad who did that, though.
Yeah.
That's
And
neat.
of course, like I said, we were in City Hall, and we felt that, you know, I asked Dad. I said, Dad, would you give us a location? And I mean, not give us a location, but would you reconstruct the building? He said, yes, I'll do that. But now, I mean, it was volunteer. Everybody came and worked on that.
Wow.
How
And
about
it was
that?
just a really great camaraderie at the time and all. So, and speaking of the dogwoods, that was where that we concentrated that I think it was 16 between Bud Abbott's. If you had a spot to put a dogwood down, we would sell that to them. And the power system put in 13, and we had 8 or 10. And one of and y'all will remember this, one of our logos and sell points, Howard came and took a picture, and he took a picture with those dogwood limbs and the chamber, and that was on every piece of anything we had that we, wanted to promote the community.
Yeah.
And it came up on Facebook the other day. I just clicked over on Facebook, and there that photo was. And it really was good looking.
That's great.
So now, y'all, that's giving you a little bit more update
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
history.
That's awesome.
And so anyway, any other questions while we're on? I didn't mean to call back.
No, I'm glad you did.
I'm glad you did.
so glad you did.
You need to sit down with Clint Alley for a little while and just.
Well, we've been meaning to do that, and I have a lot more things that needs to be recorded, fellas, because
Yeah.
I'm elderly now, and when I'm gone, some of these things will not. And what pleases me is when we're talking about anything here is the Linus Club. They worked hard on that project.
Yeah.
And Jeff knows we the ballparks and we didn't have the money, so we had to be creative on everything
it is.
And we tracked things on retirees that came in. We did years on that. And I know last week when y'all were talking about it, I thought that was something else that, what an addition to a community when people retire and come in the area, because they bring with them expertise and they bring with them just a lot of input.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you deal with a lot of relocators.
We do.
And I'm talking about a level. At one time we had a very famous writer that was here. I don't know about them now. I can go on and on and on of folks that relocated from other parts of the country and love it here. So there's just a lot of history that we wouldn't be as progressive today, as you said, if it hadn't been for the minds of and the dedication in the government and past execs and so forth. So anyway, that, I am sorry, is my input for the moment. So I'm going to get off and y'all hang in there and keep at it, fellas.
Thank you, Miss Guffey. Thank you, Miss Daphne. Thank you. Bye-bye. What a sweet lady.
Yeah.
And she was so involved in just everything going on.
Oh, yeah.
For years.
I like that. She used to call people and just say, hey, I need your help.
I need
you
your
couldn't
help.
turn it down. You couldn't say no.
No.
And so it's awesome.
If Miss Daphne called you for help, it was time to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
And,
you do.
you know, I was mayor back in those days too, and when all that transition took place, and it just, you know, it's just, there was a lot of weird change happening there. I guess the way the state of Tennessee too looked at communities as far as not community development, but industrial development and things like
Sure.
that. And back in those days, the county and the city said, you know, we're going to have an industrial development arm, and it's going to be the chamber. And so that was the mechanism for funding the chamber, is because it was the economic development arm of the city and the county, which changed the way they operated. I like the Daphne days of the chamber. You know what I mean? Somebody
Sure.
that's just the
Well,
down to earth
it was
fabric of our community. You know.
It was I guess I don't know, for lack of a better way to put it, it was a simpler time.
Yeah.
A little bit, but at the same time, they were dealing with growth issues even then. It was just different.
Yeah, you're right. And there was a lot of panic would be a bad word, but you know, when you have Murray, Ohio leave,
Yeah.
and there's literally thousands of people in your community without a job, it's almost you act in desperation to try to get anything to take root, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, I just like the old chamber and the way that it used to function. I think we'd probably been better off with a totally different economic development arm and let the chamber be the chamber. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they've married now.
Yeah, they are married.
They're married up now, and I'll say this. I mean, they've had some good successes.
They have.
It's a well-oiled machine. I think Ryan Egley's doing an awesome job.
I think he does too. I think they do too.
Doing an
But,
awesome job.
And I may be not be in the know, but Daphne's talked about all these things that the chamber was doing. Do they still do that kind of stuff though? You know, or is it all based on economic development? Is it, I don't know. I guess it's hard to explain. So
I think they're lesser involved, I guess, in the some of the community type stuff.
yeah, I mean they have ribbon cuttings and stuff like that, but to get on the phone and say, hey, we're going to do this project and we need all these companies to chip in. I think it's a different day.
Right. Well, we got another conversation to have. Good morning.
I hope that y'all encourage Miss Daphne to do that with the man that wrote the book, but also with the archives. When I first moved back here 21 years ago, I spent so much time down there, and one of the things I researched was all of our teachers that we had back in the late 50s and early 60s. I was so impressed, and I was just sad in a way that I didn't know all of those things.
Oh, wow.
And she's so valuable, and it reminded me, there's a Miss Carpenter, I'm sure she'll probably know what I'm talking about, all those older, Ann Carpenter's mother. She had a book down there, and it was like a history of a lot of things in Lawrence County that was fun going through, just reading about things that how they materialized before my time. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I appreciated her comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, we had some people like that have been our kind of historians over the years.
Yeah.
Well, his name has left me right now, but he used to be on the radio here a lot.
Curtis Peters.
Well, Curtis Peters is one, but that's not who I was thinking about. But yeah, Curtis keeps up with a lot of that type stuff, history of Lawrenceburg. Of course, we got the museum that he.
Yeah, and then Clint, Clint does.
Clint Alley's our new modern.
Bobby Alford did.
Bobby, I was trying to think of Bobby Alford. He's written some books too.
Sure.
On it. So there's a lot of people that have kept up with Lawrence County history and community histories around the county that are interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, you know, Daphne, she says, you know, there was a certain draw, I guess, but I went to work in Nashville. You know, the Lord's got you in places in your life in certain times. So I went to work in Nashville for about a year and a half. That's where I met my wife. So I had no business working in Nashville, especially at an accounting firm. I wasn't an accountant. I was their IT guy. And so, and the Lord just had me there to meet my wife. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
And so I can remember doing an interview with one of the partners of the firm that I went to work for there. And he says, I'm a little reluctant to hire people from Lawrenceburg. And I said, why is that? He said, because somehow or another, they always go back to Lawrenceburg. And he was right. Within a year and a half, I was gone and I was back in Lawrenceburg.
Back in Lawrenceburg.
That's right.
Yep. That's interesting.
Yep.
That he would say that and even know that. That's interesting. Well, you know, I have been fortunate to have, you know, a pretty good way to make a living for all of my adult life. I mean, we've been okay.
Yeah.
But I've had several jobs, but of course I've been in the real estate business for a long time. But there were times when I did some other things.
Yeah.
And I even traveled a lot. But I've always been able to live here, which I find I had never had wanted to live anywhere else.
Right.
And I've been privileged, I guess, to be able to you know, make our home and live in here and stay close. The family's all still here, so that's a great blessing in and of itself. Just
That's
to
right.
Have everybody around you.
So you talk about when I worked. It's been in the mid '90s. I worked at a place in southern Mississippi called John C. Stennis Space Center, and that's where they fingerprint the space shuttle main engine. That was the I guess the mission for the site, and so I lived in a little apartment above a garage in Pass Christian, Mississippi, and but I had a residence here in Lawrenceburg. I never changed my residence to Mississippi, and so I got pulled over one day in southern Mississippi, and the state trooper says, "I've been watching you come in and out of this place for several months now, and do you live down here?" I said, "Well, I've got a place down here," and he said, "You get you a tag. You get you a Mississippi tag." And that hurt my feelings more than anything in my life. So for the first time in my life, I had a Harrison County, Mississippi tag, and it hurt my feelings to the point I left to come back. That was the year I left.
I'm not going to do that. Can they actually make you do that?
I guess. I don't know, but he did. And what was bad is it was like $600 to get your tags down there. You know, it's like $45 here. Don't cry over that, or $54, whatever it is here. You shouldn't be crying over it because you live in Mississippi.
I don't know that I would have just told him, no, I'm not going to do it.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say that.
Why not?
Because, I mean...
You had a legal tag on your car?
I did, but I was living down there. I mean, I had a house, or I had an apartment.
Well...
So. I was just being honest with him, and he told me what to do, and I did it. So.
Well, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have done that either, but I'm pretending I would.
Yeah.
I'm just like... but that would aggravate me. I know it did you.
Yeah, it did.
It's like, dadgummit.
Well, it was really a relief, you know. I'm like, what's he pulling me over for? Because, you know, when you hit the, you go, you make the turn, there's a little Y in the road, and you make the turn, and you're on base. And when you're on base, it's wide open. The state troopers can't do anything to you. So then it's like a drag strip. So then you're flying. So I thought, man, he's caught me flying off this base. And, but he didn't. He's like... And I had a red Ford truck with polished aluminum wheels, you know, so it wasn't like I was trying to hide from anybody, you know. I had a nice looking truck, what I consider to be a nice looking truck.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I've been watching you for these months." And I'm like, well, hey.
Well, you mentioned, you know, your job there was you mentioned NASA.
Yeah.
Have you kept up with the space mission? Have we
I
talked?
have.
Have we talked about that?
We have not talked about that. That really intrigues me, and I'm so glad that NASA itself has gone back.
Are you?
Yeah, and even back in the late '90s or mid '90s, when I worked on Stennis Space Center down there, NASA survived by public interest more than anything else. So they wanted to do anything they could to get the interest of the public. You know, just like the moon landing in the late '60s. You know, they wanted everybody in America watching that because that sort of solidified their funding and their existence from that point forward. The base that I worked on down there, they didn't. You know, there was nothing spectacular about it.
Yeah.
It was that's where they fingerprinted the main engines for the space shuttle. So on the space shuttle, you had 3 main engines bolted to it, and.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so there was a resident company there called Rocketdyne, and they had test stands. They're still there today.
Yeah.
And they had grandstands. If you wanted to go down there and watch them blast off a rocket, you could go.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they
What about a racket?
Yeah, they wanted to bring a racket. They'd make a racket, I tell you.
It does make a racket.
The Earth shook. You knew when they were testing. You know, they would blow a whistle, and he's like, "Okay, you better hang on," because it was like it vibrated the whole ground around. So
It's amazing.
it was pretty cool,
The
though.
power those things must have. It's
Oh,
unreal. I've just got a question, and Keith is in the house. Kevin's in the house now. Sorry, Keith and Kevin. Kevin has walked in. I've got a question about this. You said public interest is the reason that NASA keeps going or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and of course now we've got this mission to go back to the moon. Why?
Why not?
Yeah, but why?
I mean, why not? Look at what this. I mean, and I didn't watch the mission. Did they play any Pink Floyd while they were flying on the dark side of the moon over there?
I hope they did.
I seen the picture where they had the glass triangle pyramid was up there and the sunlight was going through it and it was turning into a rainbow. On the dark side of the moon.
Oh man.
I said, I got a question. I thought I watched the movie with Tom Hanks in it and stuff, and I thought they went around the backside and they slingshot along. So
I thought so too. They
but
keep saying
they're going. This is the first time we've
they
ever done
keep
that.
saying it's the first time we've ever done it. I
I've
thought
seen it
we
in the
always.
movie, so it must be true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Explain that.
Well, you know, the moon has a certain gravitational pull too. So as you're going to it, you can turn before you get there, and it sort of slingshots you off the same way. So there you go.
Yeah, we understand slingshot.
Well, I want to know something though. When we supposedly walked on the moon,
Yeah.
okay, and we had Snoopy down there on the moon
Yeah.
surface, there was one orbiting the moon up there waiting to redock.
Yeah, but you're not orbiting the whole circumference of the moon.
Why are we not?
I don't know.
Is that not an orbit around the whole moon?
What do you mean there was something orbiting around the moon?
Well, they had a capsule up there with they had a
Two
capsule.
went down,
There
one
was
stayed
nobody
up.
in there.
Yes, there was.
No, there was who? They stayed in the capsule.
Yeah,
No.
there was one that stayed in the capsule, and then the others went down to the
I
moon.
don't know the semantics of that, but he didn't go to the backside of the moon. It's never
You
been
sure
seen.
you work for NASA?
I didn't do that kind of stuff. I did IT stuff, dude.
I'm telling you, there was a.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, well, we're gonna drop you guys off and we're gonna circle around the backside
That's
of the
what.
moon.
That's how they done it.
That's exactly
That
how
ain't-
they
keep
did
the
it.
car
that is not
running.
How they done it.
That is how
Not
exactly how they done it.
So I can just tell you that.
I can tell you, you're wrong about this. There was a
Well, supposedly that's how they done it.
there was a one that stayed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody had to catch him when they
some-
come back up there.
he was in some kind of orbit around the moon.
Well, I mean, just because you're in orbit around the moon doesn't mean that the moon is standing still and you're just like the Earth. You can be.
Well, how do you orbit something and not go around it?
You
That's
can
what
be
I want-
okay. So there's 2 different types of orbits. There's geosynchronous orbit and there's geostationary orbit. So you can be in geostationary orbit.
There you
Oh,
go.
so you're saying
There you
it was saying the same spot.
Yeah, it's
while
like
the moon
that's
was
why
coming.
you can point your dish to the sky and not have to
You
move it because
cannot-
there's satellites.
Oh,
Wait a
that
minute.
are
Wait a minute.
positioned in
Time
the
out.
exact same place.
Time out. You cannot have a zero synchronous orbit with the moon
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what you
because
just
it's not spinning. The moon's not spinning.
I don't understand.
When you have a geosynchronous satellite going around the Earth, it stays in one position as the Earth turns.
I didn't say that was the way the moon. You just said there's no way to stay in one place, and I said, yeah, there is. That's what happens with our stuff. I didn't say it happened in the moon. I don't know how they did it.
Well,
That's
then
why
are you claiming to know how?
I
they
did not claim that.
I like it. He ain't got no one-upper for you, so he can't argue
Yeah, I
with
can
you.
one up it all right.
Yeah, whatever.
I'd have to one up how. I'm just kidding.
But it seriously did confuse me when I said this is the first time we've ever been around on the backside of the moon because I thought we had been up there orbiting that moon up there when we did the
No.
lunar landing.
Well, and then Tom Hanks had to fix the air scrubber with a toothbrush and a banjo key or something, and they had to. That's what they had to, because they were supposed to go to the moon, but they couldn't, so they decided to slingshot around the backside of the moon and head back to Earth. And,
Yep.
and I'm like, all
Yep.
right.
Yep.
I think you're
Yeah.
thinking
But
about Days of Thunder or something, when they slingshot and come around the back of turn 3 or something.
No, not Shake and Bake, not Ricky Bobby.
Oh, okay.
No. He's right.
I'm going back and watch this movie.
I'm just saying,
Apollo, whatever it was.
why would
Apollo
they?
3.
Then why would they say today
Apollo
this is the
13.
first time that human eyes ever seen the back of the moon?
That's what I'm asking. Why would
That's
they
why
say
we're
that?
asking.
Because it's the first time it's ever happened.
So you're saying Tom Hanks didn't have no windows they couldn't
No,
see?
Tom Hanks was in a studio in California. He
No.
never left the Earth. His feet never left the Earth.
So if he could
And a
float,
lot of people say that about the moon landing.
Well,
Well,
listen,
I think Jeff is one of them.
I'm one of them, but the Apollo 13 movie was supposed to be based on a true story on how they got those boys back.
Yeah, but it wasn't based on. I mean, there wasn't all true.
So the whole part about them slingshotting around the moon was a lie?
I don't know. I got to go back and watch it.
I mean,
and see
how
if
would
they
they do-
slingshot around the moon.
Yes.
I think they just used the moon's gravitational pull and slingshot off of it before they got to the back side. So I don't know.
We're gonna have to, I'm gonna study this,
Okay.
and you're gonna study it.
Yeah, I will.
We're gonna figure this
I
out.
have no clue about that.
We're gonna figure this out.
So that wasn't what I did down there. I was an IT guy. It was cool though.
Well, IT guys are supposed to know stuff.
Yeah, we don't. You're supposed to be sworn to secrecy, so that's what happens.
Oh my gosh. Well, Kevin, old buddy, old pal,
Yes.
we can't convince him.
No.
We can't convince him, but it did happen.
Yes,
They orbited the moon somehow or another while they were walking around down there. They
We
had
don't know. Could be all CGI.
They
So
had
what if
Hollywood
you
CGI.
orbited it this
they
way?
had Neil Armstrong, right,
Yeah.
on the moon,
Yeah.
putting his foot down,
Mm-hmm.
and there was one other guy with him
Right.
who was Alan Shepard.
Yeah. But who took the picture on the ground when they was getting off the thing?
Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney?
Now, so let's pretend like this is the moon. So you're saying they went around this way. They could have been going around this way.
They stayed on the bright side of the moon.
Yeah,
instead
they
of the
stayed
dark
on the
side?
sunny side of the moon. There's my office calling.
Somebody said, Chris had asked Randy about the backside.
Okay, I'll ask Rainey.
Oh, Rainey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's too late to ask Rainey in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta
What about
afford
Randy? Can we ask Randy?
it. No, that's Lonnie, he knows.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'll take the time to do it. Let me do this right
No,
here.
I can just Google. I can just
Hang
ask.
on just a second.
Now, what did you say?
Did we orbit the moon during the Apollo 11?
It's already. Yeah, I'm halfway typing this.
Apollo 11 absolutely orbited the moon. Look at that, right there. AI.
Hey, it's AI. It's on the internet, so it must be true.
July
You asked it the wrong
1969,
question.
Apollo 11 entered the lunar orbit
Reword.
after a 3-day trip to Earth. Spacecraft circled the moon multiple times while the crew prepared for landing.
Okay, so the whole thing is a hoax, as far as.
I'm looking at it.
All right, so here's what this says, and I have to do this. It says Apollo missions orbited the far side or the back side of the moon, starting with Apollo 8 in 1968. The crew
So I'm not
became the
crazy.
first humans to see and photograph the far side of the moon. I thought they just said this is the first
That's
time.
why
they've
this
seen it.
is
That's
so
what we're
stupid.
asking. Why are they,
They kept
that?
saying that this is the first time we've ever done it. I'm like, no, it's not. Not according to Apollo
That's
11.
the first time those folks have ever done it. And you sitting there arguing with
What
them.
mission are they on? What's it called?
Artemis?
Yeah.
Artemis?
Artemis Powell. Drummer from Leonard Skinner.
Ah.
Alright, I go kiss my top of the hour.
Well, you gotta go.
Huh?
You
Finish
gotta
up
go.
my top of the hour. there.
You better hurry up.
I know.
All right, so it says no, Artemis is not the first time humans have seen
See?
the backside of the moon.
That's what I was asking.
But it's the first time in over 50 years since Apollo era that humans have seen it directly. Apollo astronauts 8, 10 through 17 viewed and photographed the far side during their orbits through those Soviet
I
probe
told
Luna
you.
3 took the first pictures in 1959.
See there?
Well, then that's just false advertising.
I know. They've been claiming it's the first time we've seen the backside. No, it's not. Not if Apollo 11 happened.
Well, I mean, what they didn't count on is they didn't count on you being there. You were alive and well and knew that.
Well, this just shows to go you how the media gets stuff
you're
wrong
right.
all the
You're
time.
Exactly right.
All the time.
And people like me are gullible about it. Like, really?
Just don't listen. Stay well informed like me.
Well, I mean, I do. I listen to the news. It's the first time human eyes seen the backside of the moon.
Yeah, I know, and that's what you get for paying attention too much
Maybe it's,
attention to the moon. Anyway, yeah, I caught it the first time they said it. I'm like, they're wrong about that. That can't be right.
But it is the furthest humans. I guess they were in a higher orbit or something.
I don't know.
They didn't need to slingshot off.
Farther and faster, whatever.
13.
We have run out of time, buddy.
Okay, see ya.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
See you next time.
All righty.